What's good? It's your boy Jay. That's me. Let's discuss this disastrous, lame, worthless, waste of time show. What show is that, you asked? Monday Night Raw. The NyQuil of pro wrestling. The NyQuil of pro wrestling. This show was a absolute disaster. Let's just go ahead and get into it. Monday Night Raw for July the 3rd, 2023, the 4th of July edition, or the eve of the 4th of July edition. So, we kicked this show off with Seth Rollins. So, he comes out. The crowd sings his song as per usual. He does his little Rollins shtick of welcoming everyone to Monday Night Rollins. He gives himself a grand intro as the night toast. The crowd sings some more. Rollins says, how sweet was Money in the Bank? He comments on how good the finish to the Bloodline Civil War was. He mentions Damian Priest and Io Sky winning their Money in the Bank briefcases respectively, and he says he just barely defeated Finn Balor to keep the title. Rollins says SummerSlam is about 5 weeks away. There's only one thing on his mind. Out comes Cody Rhodes to a really big pop. Cody has his wrestling gear on. And so Cody gets into the ring. And then he says so, and then we hear Brock Lesnar's music, a huge pop. So Cody then jumps off the apron. Him and Brock, they have a little fight scene, they have a little brawl scene. So Brock goes for the F5. Cody dodges it, and he reverses it into the Cody Cutter. And that was it. I'm just like, what in the actual fuck just happened? Absolutely weird. Which I figured that Lesnar was going to show up anyway. He wasn't going to show up in London, so he was going to show up on the next Raw. So I knew that. So it is what it is. None of this makes sense. I had no idea why Cody had his wrestling gear on. It's just weird. So we come back from commercial. So Rollins is still in the ring. He says that was a crazy way to start the show. And them boys must have unfinished business. Rollins is looking forward to his own business. Out comes the Judgment Day. So Rhea gets on the mic and says, we've heard enough about Rollins. We know everyone is here to see the Judgment Day. Rollins points out the group isn't complete, as Finn Balor isn't here. Rollins says Balor won't be able to do one of his sneak attacks tonight. Ripley says Finn is fine, but Rollins shouldn't worry about what he's doing. So Damian Priest warns that Seth Rollins should worry about his Money in the Bank briefcase, not the Judgment Day's business. So then Damian Priest proceeds to tease a cash-in, maybe at SummerSlam, maybe at Survivor Series, or the Royal Rumble next year, or maybe after he beats Shinsuke Nakamura. So Rollins then says to cash in. Priest has to have the champ down, and Rollins is feeling fresh. He has no match tonight and was planning to go party with Baltimore. Damian Priest says before the fans sing, he can make Rollins useless. Don't you like to fight? Damian Priest goes on and says someone next to him will beat Rollins tonight. Rhea Ripley says she's already defending her title against Natalya tonight, but Dom is looking for a fight. So your typical Dom gets booed by the crowd stick continues on. Rollins tells Dominik to try again. So Rollins laughs, and we get a "you suck" chant to Dom. Rhea says Dirty Dom wants to fight Rollins tonight. Rollins says he's a Money in the Bank expert, and this sounds like a poor attempt at a trap, but he wants nothing more than to slap Dominik's mustache off his face. So he's going to let the fans decide. Rollins asks if fans want to see sexy Seth beat the brakes off of Dirty Dom, and they do. Rollins says Dominik has his answer, and he'll see you punks later. Oh boy, just a weird way to start the show. I have no idea why they did this. This was a combination of Vince and Triple H. So miss me with, everything is Vince McMahon. No, it's not. It's a 50-50 split. It's that simple. Common sense. And that's what we got throughout most of the show. We got a mixture of both Triple H and Vince. We actually got got the first dose of Triple H on this show with the first match of the night. That being Shinsuke Nakamura versus Damian Priest. They went about a good 15 minutes. Damian Priest gets the win via the South of Heaven chokeslam for the 1, 2, 3. Moving on. So, Ronda Rousey, she comes out. So she goes to the ring. She attempts to speak. Shayna Baszler comes out. She's fired up. Shayna says she speaks for all of us when she says that we're tired of hearing Ronda try to speak on the mic. So Ronda asks why after this, all of 10 years of loyalty, it means nothing. Ronda tells her to come in the ring and explain why. Ronda says Shayna Baszler owes her that. Then Shayna says, I owe you. Shayna calls Ronda a narcissist and says she is the only reason Ronda is in a WWE ring. Shayna says she owes everyone an apology for bringing Ronda into this business. Ronda asks why didn't Shayna say something before they built something and became champs. So Shayna goes on yelling about how Ronda wasn't there for her come up in the business and on the indies. Shayna says she's paid her dues while Ronda just waltzed into WrestleMania. Baszler loves this business, but Ronda has ruined it for her. Shayna says she does owe Rousey a shocking reality that someone here herself can finally shut Ronda up. And so then Baszler tosses the mic. They have a little stare down between the two. Then they have a little brawl scene. And then out of nowhere, Shayna then locks in an ankle lock. Ronda's able to break out of that and escape. And then Shayna hits a sliding knee to stun Ronda Rousey. And then Shayna dips out. And then Ronda yells, "Come back, this isn't done." So this makes sense. I'm glad that Ronda's leaving WWE. I think that she really wants to have another child. I know I've heard rumors of her going back to the UFC. I don't believe that at all. I really don't. I think once you're a mega athlete and you have a child and everything else, your perspective on life tends to change. So I'm pretty sure her and Travis want to have another child, which actually makes the most sense. Ronda is, 36? There's no need for her to go back to combat sports full-time. There's just no need. I wouldn't even do that. And we know that Amanda Nunes is retiring. So, yeah, there's that. So I don't see her going back to the UFC. I don't. I just see her wanting to have a second child and kind of right off in the sunset. So this just sets up a match between the two at SummerSlam. Maybe a loser leaves WWE type match. I would assume that's what they're probably going with, because this can't be a feud. If it is, then this should continue no further than, I want to say, Royal Rumble of next year. So you could do the first match at SummerSlam, the next match at Survivor Series, and maybe the last match at the Rumble. Or maybe even next year's WrestleMania. I don't know. But this is probably going to be a one-and-done thing for her. And then that's it. Moving on. So we see a video package of Maxine Dupree practicing backstage. She has Otis in a headlock. So Chad Gable asks if she's ready for her first match tonight. Maxine Dupree is fired up and sick of the Viking Raiders, as am I. So Chad Gable rants about the Viking Raiders underestimating his abilities. He said that he's passed on his skills onto Otis and Maxine Dupree. So tonight, on the eve of Independence Day, they will slap the Vikings in the face of the biggest dose of patriotism ever seen. And then Otis says, "Oh yeah." And then we end the segment. That was a pretty good little segment. I like this. What I didn't like was the number one contenders tag team turmoil, which featured Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville. They ended up winning the match. The teams that they took on were Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell, Emma and Nikki Cross, KC Squared, Dana Brooke, and Tegan Knox. So these are all Triple H women outside of Sonya Deville. So thankfully my girls win, that being Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green. So I do like that. It came down to KC Squared and Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green. So those were the last two teams. Makes sense for my girls to get the win. And I am high on KC Squared, but we're not going to have babyface versus babyface. So we can't do that. So that does make sense. Post-match, Raquel and Liv get into the ring and they have a little stare down with Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville, but they dip out. So there's that. Who cares? Moving on. We get a really cool vignette from Bronson Reed. So he's in a suit and shades. Bronson says he got where he is because of fear. He hurts those who disrespect him. He breaks his challengers because that's how he keeps things in order. Bronson Reed goes on and says he's a nice guy, but everyone who sits at a banquet of consequence, has to face him as he is inescapable. So I do like that. Very good stuff right there. I have no idea what Triple H's plans are for Bronson Reed. Maybe in due time he'll be the IC champion after Gunther hands it over to maybe McIntyre at SummerSlam or something like that. I don't know. Moving on. Becky Lynch, she's in the ring. She says she didn't win Money in the Bank, but she can get over that. But what she cannot move on from is just a squeaky little thorn in her side, Trish Stratus. Becky Lynch says, what better place to end it than Baltimore? So Becky calls Trish Stratus out. So Zoe Stark comes out with Trish Stratus. So Trish Stratus is wearing a protective face mask. Becky Lynch laughs and says her face looks stupid. Trish Stratus says, even with the mask, she's still pretty than all of you fans and Becky. She says, you people need a mask like this to hide your ugliness. Trish says she would say yes to Becky's challenge, but she's not medically cleared because Becky broke her face. Trish says no one is better than her, not even Becky. And she says one day Zoe Stark might be as good under her guidance, but right now Trish is the greatest of all time. Becky recalls how Zoe Stark had to help Trish beat her at Night of Champions. Becky goes on and says Zoe Stark has to go through her if she wants to get that good. Becky turns up the insults and says, we all know Trish won't be here much longer after she's done plugging her crappy talent show, her local magazine cover, or whatever cheap t-shirt she's pushing. Becky asks Trish why she's still here. Trish says she's still here because she's the face of the division that she gave relevancy to. Trish says Lynch hated it when she would see people backstage thank Trish. Trish says the irony is no loss on her. Becky tried to break the face of the division. So now Zoe will break Becky's face. And then that allows for Trish and Zoe Stark to run to the ring. But they put the brakes on that because Trish realized she had to have a medical appointment. So they have to leave this dump called Baltimore. But she told Becky to keep her calendar open for next week for Zoe Stark. Okay, that's fine, I guess. Who really cares? Next, the 6-person tag. The Viking Raiders versus the Alpha Academy. So Maxine Dupree gets the win via a turnbuckle pin for the 1, 2, 3. It was like a roll-up pin for the 1, 2, 3. That's fine. So, Natalya, she's backstage talking with Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Who really cares? So, Jackie Redmond, who was the new backstage interviewer, she's backstage with Ricochet. She says she asked about Logan Paul. Ricochet says some say that Logan Paul didn't belong in Money in the Bank, but the kid can hang. But Ricochet can respect that. Ricochet says he can't respect how Logan Paul got in his face because it wasn't his night. Ricochet says he's issuing a challenge, but not on social media like some keyboard warrior, because we do it big here in WWE. Ricochet challenges Logan Paul to meet him in the ring next week face to face. Okay, that should be okay. Moving on from that. So, Cody Rhodes comes out next. And he gets interviewed by Jackie Redmond. She asks about what happened with Brock Lesnar. Cody tells everyone to say hello to Jackie on her first night. Cody says he's a man of his word. And he said he'd be waiting for Lesnar. So welcome back, Brock. Cody says Lesnar broke his arm and busted his face. So there's no way that they can coexist. Cody says he wants another shot at Lesnar. He'll fight Lesnar any night, every night. And then he dips out. Okay, that's fine. We know this is setting up their third and final match at SummerSlam. I don't know what match that would be. Maybe Last Man Standing. Maybe a no DQ match, a steel cage. I don't know, something of that magnitude to end the feud. Moving on. Next, we got a really long match, and I wanted to throw my TV out the window and made sure it would smash into 1,000 pieces when we had a competitive match between Natalya versus Rhea Ripley for the WWE Women's World Championship. Oh my God, this thing felt like it was 45 minutes. Thankfully, Rhea retained via the Riptide for the 1, 2, 3, but this thing felt like forever, and it made zero sense. Post-match, Rhea Ripley continued to beat down on Natalya, but Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, they made the save. Who cares? And somehow Rhea, she had a busted lip in this match with Natalya. I'm just like, what the fuck is going on with this shit? So, we get a really good, solid backstage promo by Tommaso Ciampa, saying that he's going to hurt The Miz and everything else. He wants Miz to bring the best version of himself next week. So, Ciampa brings up how he confronted The Miz to his face, but Miz attacked him from behind. Ciampa knows that spark is finally back in Miz's eyes, suffering loss after loss. As of late, when he accomplished a lot of things in WWE beforehand, Ciampa says he sees the ruthless aggression that it took Miz to get to the top. So next time they meet in the ring, he wants Miz to have some of that energy, and he'll bring that chip on his shoulder. Ciampa gets up and launches a chair on the side and walks off. So then Miz responds, and he talks some trash and says that he feels better than ever. Miz goes on and challenges Ciampa to a no DQ match next week and tells Ciampa to bring that chip on his shoulder. So that's fine. Next, moving on. Rhea Ripley, she's backstage. Then Io Sky pops up out of nowhere. She flashes the Money in the Bank briefcase in Rhea's in front of Rhea Ripley. And she speaks in Japanese. And then Rhea says, "Try me, it'll be the worst mistake of your life." Then Io Sky dips out. Dom and Damian walk up. So then Rhea rips Vince about Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, about what they did. She says if they get in her business again, they'll regret it. Dominik is just like Seth Rollins with a night when Dom is the last one singing. So this leads us into Matt Riddle versus Giovanni Vinci. Matt Riddle gets the win here. Who cares? It's not really that important. Post-match, Drew McIntyre comes out to save Matt Riddle from a beatdown by Gunther and Ludwig Kaiser. So then McIntyre hits the Claymore kick on Kaiser. What else happened? Oh, yeah. Moving on, backstage stuff. So Matt Riddle, he thanks Drew McIntyre for having his back out there because Imperium was beating him up for weeks. Drew says not anymore. Byron Saxton shows up and asks about what happened. Drew declares that he's back, and Matt Riddle suggested they team up to take out Imperium. McIntyre says that sounds great, but that's next week. How about we go party in Baltimore tonight? And then Matt Riddle actually sounded that. They're going to get some Jimmy's famous seafood. That's pretty cool. I like that. I like me some good old seafood. And then this leads us into the main event, which was Seth Rollins versus Dominik Mysterio. Seth Rollins wins via the stomp. Who really cares? Post-match, Finn Balor comes out. He attacks Seth Rollins from behind. Rollins is able to escape and fight off Balor. And then that leads to Damian Priest and Finn Balor to argue back and forth. Dominik Mysterio eats a pedigree. And then Seth Rollins scurries up the ramp. And Damian Priest and Finn Balor continue to argue. And then we go off the air. It really cares. It really cares. Like I said before, this show was a waste of everyone's time. A waste of 3 fucking hours. An absolute disaster. Triple H and Vince should both be ashamed of themselves. They both don't know what they're doing at all. They don't. And this was just an absolute waste of time. But, what did you guys think? Hope you guys have a happy 4th of July. Stay safe. Drink responsibly. Please hit the like button, comment down below, and subscribe to my videos. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.